Alan Stroud here with a special Olympics edition of 48 Flashback. Today we're traveling back 20 years to the 1996 Summer Games in Atlanta. Many of you will remember the torch relay making its way through Huntsville before a brief overnight stay at the Space and Rocket Center. It was an incredible experience and a very exciting time for the Rocket City. Now let's take a look back at our live coverage shortly before the opening ceremonies of the Centennial Olympic Games. Friday, July 19th, 1996.
You know, this is the night we've all been waiting for.
We've been counting it down literally after months, years around these parts anyway. That sign that's been over the interstate here that's counting
it's
down.
Time.
Interesting to see, zero on that. It hasn't marked. We're at Centennial Park. I want to add that too.
Well, first of all, it's hard to believe it's been 20 years.
Yeah, we both agree with
that.
Yeah,
and it was fun, interesting, going back and living in a dorm for 3 weeks. But I think the thing that I thought was the most interesting was that we got to kind of rub elbows with all the network reporters and anchors that you see on, television all the time, even regional and state reporters and anchors. And we were all in one big space. Yeah. And I thought that was so cool. And you got a chance to meet people, and they, came up to you and, gave you encouragement and chatted with you. That was a lot of fun.
When the world tunes in, they will see a spectacular opening ceremonies. In fact, it's estimated that 3.5 billion people will tune in around the world to watch it. There's a magic in the air. The sign says it all. It's time.
It's definitely a big deal here. You just walk around and you can just kind of feel the excitement of just not only the city and just, I guess, the entire Southeast. Even though we're not from here, it's just pretty exciting.
From the torch run to covering the torch being housed overnight at the Space and Rocket Center, to us going and covering it. It was just, we knew, it's like, we need to remember this moment in time.
Right, and of course, towards the end, the explosion in Centennial Park. Yes. And it just kind of put a damper, obviously, on everything.
Well, and we knew that. Centennial Park, this was 1996. We didn't have terrorism as we have it today, the threat. But they were supposedly going to be very, very tight on who got in, who got out of Centennial Park, because there were threats.
Right.
And we noticed even carrying our camera gear in and out, they weren't really checking us closely.
I remember us doing stories with some of the athletes and asking them if they were concerned, and nobody really seemed concerned. They felt like, authorities had it all under control and all, all covered.
The security crews were busy closing down the roadways out there, getting ready for tonight. The traffic a lot different around there than it's been. And I can tell you that if you want to go anywhere near Olympic Stadium tonight, you better either have a ticket with you or you better have a handful of money to get a ticket.
As you can see, a whole stadium full of empty seats right now. Could be some empty seats there tonight, believe it or not. What's that you say? Isn't this the hottest ticket in town? Well, yes and no. The asking price, cheapest asking price right now, as we understand it, $636. The burning question is, would you pay over $600 to see the opening ceremonies? You got a ticket to tonight's opening ceremony?
Not at all, unless you want to give me one.
See, that's my question. Would you spend $600 for a seat?
Oh, no, not that much.
Why not? What's it worth to you?
Say 50.
Do you know what tickets are going for?
Well, originally $636, I believe.
Right.
But I've heard that some people who had them were selling them for upwards of $1,000 or so.
Now, what's it worth to you to get in and see this stuff tonight? Is it worth that?
No.
No.
What's top dollar? What would you pay, the most money you'd pay to see this? 100?
To be there would be kind of neat because you get the atmosphere and everything of actually being there, but at home I think you'd probably see better.
The street vendors were also busy this afternoon, setting up shop along the sidewalks outside the stadium. They'll be selling everything from shirts and hats and cups to, yes, some real Georgia clay.
I would say the world is here, and NBC World is here too.
Overall, it was a wonderful experience. I had a lot of fun and kind of got my Olympic chops, so to say.
Yeah, no, we saw a lot of wonderful things, even outside the venues, just seeing the people coming out and swimming, and seeing NBC set up there, Nightly News set up there. Brian Williams was anchoring at the time, or maybe it was Tom Brokaw, and they were set up at a certain spot there in town, and yeah, it was clearly a once-in-a-lifetime thing to see all of that going on around the game.
We were very fortunate that it came so close to us.
No question.
This whole event is really a family event, so you'll want to have your family gathered around the television tonight.